Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'll be showing you what I do for my lettuce trays that I've been growing in the basement here. I will be doing a different mix, soil mix, and I'll show you the process that I follow. Is pretty straightforward. The mix that I use for the lettuce seeds that we'll be planting today, actually all the lettuce, the stuff that I grow in the tray. So this is the lettuce, the spinach, the arugula, or whatever. I just started doing this year. I might modify the recipe for the soil as time goes on, but this is what's been working for me. So I'll be planting the mesclun, the microgreen lettuce mix. So the small leaf lettuce, it's pretty good. So the mix ratio is 4 parts potting soil or seedling mix, 1 part worm casting, and 1 part vermiculite, which is optional. This is the seedling mix that you saw me put together in the previous video. So it already has the peat moss and the vermiculite in there, so I use 4 parts of that in here. And I'm using 1 part of the worm casting, and you'll notice I'm not adding any more vermiculite because there's enough of it in here. Before I put together the seedling mix, I was just using potting soil for this, and you can do the exact same thing, just a regular Miracle-Gro bags or whatever. That works fine as well. My first few trays were the potting soil instead of the seedling mix, but either one will work. The only thing that you'll run into is, as we talked about in the other video, you might start to get the fungus gnats in either your grow area or wherever you are doing this, because typically I don't put the boiling water and treat the potting soil the same way that I do with the seedling mix, but it's still your choice. So as the ratio said, 4 parts potting soil or seedling mix. I have seedling mix here, and the worm casting. If you don't know what worm castings is, it's basically what you think it is. For lack of a better term, it's word poop. This is what comes out of the worms after they have processed and gone through and eaten their nutrients. It's a natural organic fertilizer, and it does really well. The plants tend to really like it. If you are using worm castings in either your soil mix, you can add it to any soil mix that you have. It's really beneficial for the plants. So I decided to go with the worm castings instead of adding the slow release granular fertilizers, or even having to worry about doing water soluble fertilizers for these lettuce stuff. And as I said, the results have been pretty good. So we mix this all together, get it to a good consistency before we start adding the seeds on top. So I'm going to pause the video here, and because I'm using one hand for the camera, and I'm going to mix this together, and then we're going to come right back. Okay guys, we're back. I've mixed up the seedling mix and the worm castings. Everything's integrated together. Previously I didn't mention, but you want to dampen this mix too when you mix it. So it's about, I'd say about a cup or 3/4 of a cup of water, just regular water. Doesn't have to be boiled this time. That's mixed in here so that you have a damp consistency. So the tray's ready. I have a little bit of extra in this cup because after we put on the seeds, we're going to top dress, which just means cover up lightly with more soil. We're not going to put a whole lot on top. I might not even use all of the soil that's in here to cover up, because especially with lettuce, they are what is referred to as weak sprouts. So if it's like the soil is really compacted and you put more soil on top and really compact it, the sprouts from the seeds are not really strong enough to break through that. So we literally just going to sprinkle a little bit of more of the soil mix on top, just to, you know, kind of keep them in place. And we should probably get a spray bottle, because after I cover them up, I like to spray them down with some water just to keep everything damp. So in my previous videos, I've shown you these bottles. They're just spice bottles. I have the seed mix in there. I know these seeds are kind of fine, so I don't want it on the biggest holes. I believe these ones, the medium ones, is what I use. And as I mentioned in that video too, it's kind of like cooking or baking. You just sprinkling it on. You can kind of see where the seeds are landing. Just make sure you have good coverage. Go over any spots that you think might be kind of open. And that's it. We're going to close that up. Now I'm going to just lightly cover up with some of this soil. Once again, I don't want to put too much because these seeds are not very strong. You can either use the mix that you made earlier or the worm casting, either one, just as long as they're covered up. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes because the seeds are dark, the soil is dark, it's hard to judge if you got everything covered, but kind of look at it and see if you can see any seeds. If you look very closely, there's a couple seeds there, so you know, you just kind of put them in, but that's it for the most part. They should be all covered up, and from what I can see here, it looks like that's the case. So the next thing I do is I just spray down the top. And I just want to make sure what I put on top is damp and it's holding down and providing moisture to the seeds. Yes, I know there's a keyboard there for anyone that's pointing that out, but it hasn't blown up on me yet. So anyways, I probably should cover that up in my other videos. Something to think about. But anyways, nice and damp. And that's good to go. This would now, I was at one point covering it up. I was actually using foil to cover up. These ones over here, I've used plastic wrap. But what I have noticed is, and it acts like a humidity dome over the tray, which it is good. But I'm down here checking and spraying and watching the trays almost every day. Like I come home from work, I come down here just to make sure that it hasn't dried out or anything like that. So I don't think I'm going to cover these ones. It is going to go on my grow shelf. This is just something I put together myself with some lights. These ones are actual grow lights. The ones that I have on here. On this unit over here, these are LED floodlights. They are a certain Kelvin or light temperature and intensity. I will do a separate video on how to put these things together. They're relatively simple. My first grow shelf over here, this shelf I was actually not even put together for years, and I just found it in the basement and decided to start doing this right around the time when COVID and the lockdown started, so around 2019, and it has produced and worked well for me. It's relatively inexpensive. You don't need crazy expensive grow lights like some people that grow vegetables in their basement. You don't need anything crazy like that. You don't even need these are actual grow lights, but they're around $60. You could probably find cheaper lights in the big box rental places or Walmart, but that's something that I'll go through in a later video showing you how to set this up, because considering the yields that you can get, it's pretty good. So I'm going to put this down here. Let's move this over. Oh, these also have what are called heating mats underneath. Most seeds will benefit from some kind of warmth during the germination process. Just keeping the seeds warm as they develop. Once they get to, let's say, this point and you have sprouts already, you don't need the heat mats anymore. You can turn it off. They don't suck a lot of heat unless you are, once again, growing vegetables, special vegetables, and you need like high temperature for certain things. So the benefit that they give when you're doing this far outweighs any like major costs that you would see on your electrical bill. And just speaking of electrical bill, these grow lights, they are LED. So I'm touching it, it's not hot, it's a little bit warm. Once again, they're not like the old incandescent lights that generate crazy amount of heat and suck a lot of electricity. So yeah, that's what these grow mats are for. Let's grab the tray. And if you're doing a lot of trays, I want to make sure I don't drop this. If you're doing a lot of trays, you probably should label. And that's what I started doing because I have a number of stuff going on here at the same time. These trays that you see here are several batches in. I've been doing this for a couple months now. So these are new batches that you see here. I will post videos in the coming days of the growth progress, like week after week, and you'll see the development over time. That is basically it. I can't think of too many. Oh, sorry. It's probably mentioned in another video, but these lights are on timers. Right now the lights are on because I just plugged it out of the timer and plugged it into the wall just so I can see what I'm doing. But I have them on 12-hour cycles. So when they're germinating, the heat mats and the lights are on for 12 hours. I usually start at 5 a.m. and then 5 p.m. the lights go out, and then they're in a period of darkness for 12 hours. Plants need that, actually. They don't do well if they're in bright lights all the time. Even though you think, oh, they're doing so great, why, if I leave it on for longer amounts of time, they'll do much better. No, that's not necessarily the case. The other thing to keep in mind too is, depending on what you're growing, you might need to adjust how close the trays are to the lights. But I'll cover that in future videos as well, because I'll be planting up some vegetables for my outside vegetable garden, and I'll show you my process for that and what to do there. That is basically it. This video is a bit longer, but I want to show you the process for doing these lettuce trays. Once again, keep an eye out for upcoming videos that will show you the progress of my previous trays. They're older videos, so the dates that I mentioned in them have gone by already, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the growth of these. That's it, and thanks for watching.